Moin Moin and welcome to Ralfs Foto-Bude and Ralfs Photo Flight. Yeah, in my last videos about the DJI Inspire 1, I showed you the unboxing, explained you the assembly and the different options of the remote control. Today my topic is the DJI Pilot app. The DJI Pilot app is a very big one, so you have a lot of options. One of the reasons why you have this is because there's no computer program where you connect the Inspire 1 and can make up the settings, like you may know from the Wacom A2 and the Phantom 2. There you have the RC Assistant software on your computer where you connect the quadrocopter to the computer and can make different settings. This option is actually not available. I don't know if DJI will make this one. So all the settings you have, you make over the DJI Pilot app, and so there are a lot of features to show, and that's the reason why I make two tutorials about this. In the first tutorials I show you the general settings of the app and the general options of the app, and in the second tutorial I will show you the camera options and how to set up the optimum for your camera and what to obey when you want to make photos and videos. So let's start with the DJI Pilot app. When you start the DJI Pilot app, you get the start screen, and we start with the user center. In the user center we have an album, there are no pictures still in, and then we have the flight record, and in the flight record we have the different flights I've made. You can see I have done here 2 indoor flights. In the German video I can delete them just by using my finger to wipe them out and delete them, and this is my first real flight. And here you have the pictures. If you put your finger on the picture, you will see the pictures. You can scroll through the pictures, and you can look where you have where your flight was. So go on the tap on the flight, and then you will see this is your area where you've made the flight. These are the positions where you've done your photos. You have 7-minute flight time, the date, the time, the maximum height, the flight mileage in meter, the location, and you can start your flight or play back your flight just by pressing the replay button. And here we go. You can speed it up to the 8 times speed, and then you see now the copter starts and makes the flight here turn again, and so on, and so it goes up, and there was a position where I've done the picture, and then speed up to the right side, make it turn again, and back and forth, and so on. So you can see exactly where you've done your flight. You can speed it up here if you want and move the button here, and that's it. So you can see your flight. You can, if you don't want this, just tip on the screen, and then you get the information out of the screen and in of the screen. So that's very easy. You can put the flight to different files or to different options. You have the AirDrop, Mail, and so on. So you have options to save it outside of the app here. If you have more than one flight, you can toggle between the different flights here just by pressing the up and down arrow. So this is the flight record. Go back, and we have here the pilot. And if you go to the right side, you see this is the Inspire 1. So if you have more than one Inspire 1, can one pilot have a flight book for more than one Inspires, and you can decide which one you want to see. At this point we have the profiles. That's the pilot profile, and here is the aircraft profile, so you can set up this very easy. Going back to the home screen, we have the Academy, and in the Academy you can download the different manuals, the user manual, the battery manual, safety guidelines, and the quick start menu. Here you have some videos which explain the different functions, and you have the flight simulator. You have to turn on the copter if you want to use the flight simulator. Just press the button of the flight simulator. It says remove the propellers. Yes, they are always removed when I start the copter inside. Here we are, and now you can start the copter, make the CSC, and then the copter turns on, and now we can start, make the flight, turn the copter, fly forward, fly backward, make a left, make a right, and so on. So you can make your first flight here on the simulator. Okay, so going back to the home screen, take some time because the simulator has to close. Now we are back at the home screen. Now we can go to the map, and here is the map. That's my position now. You can zoom in the map or zoom out of the map, and you have the different options here. You can lock the compass. If you press the button here, you lock the compass in north-south direction. If you unlock it and you turn, you will see how the map turns also. So it depends on what you like more, lock or unlock. Here you have the different layers. If you press here, you have the standard layer, so that's the normal map. Then you have the satellite layer where you see the satellite vision, and the last one is the combination of satellite and normal map, where you can also see the names of the street or buildings or stuff like this. You can change from the map to the normal, to the FPV picture, but also you can start directly with the camera symbol. That's exactly the same. Doesn't matter if you start at the map or if you start with a camera. Either you can toggle, so that's not the big difference. Here you see the map. If you want to toggle, it's very easy. Just put your finger on the map and you toggle between map and the FPV picture. I will move the camera a little bit upwards so you don't have to see the whole time the ugly screen. So here we are. Okay, so if you want to hide the map because you want to see the FPV pictures, just press this small square here, and then you hide the map. And if you want to hide all the information, just move your finger up on the screen, and then you have the clean picture, the clean FPV picture. If you move the finger back, downward, you see all the information. So up, remove, down, get the information back. Here we press, then we have the map, and that's it. And here we have the map. In the map, you're not able to remove the information. In the map, you always will see the informations. You can zoom in, but you cannot get rid of the informations here. Okay, so one point, I will explain these options here later on, but one point is only in the map, and that's this small finger here. And with this small finger, you can paint lines in the map. So I checked out what does it mean. There are different opinions. One says it's a fence, an electronic fence, so the copter won't fly further than these lines are. But actually I don't think so. I cannot try because the weather is still not really good, so I have not the options to fly and try myself. But as far as I know, these are only guidelines. And when you see here, it says clear guides. So in my opinion, these are only guidelines. So it's not waypoint flying automatically, but waypoint flying manually. So you can say, I clear this one, you can say if you want to go like here in my living area, you want to fly there, then you can move the map here in the middle. Here we are at this point, and then I can say, okay, I want to fly first in this direction, then in this direction, and make a turn, then go across the area and back to the landing. So I can fly along these routes, and I can optimize the routes just before I take off, and so it's like a manual waypoint flying. I don't think it's a fence, so in my opinion it's just a guideline which you can make, and this meaning here, clear guides, I think this is the answer of the question. Going back to the FPV picture, on the left down corner we have the flight informations. So we have the compass here in which direction the copter shows, we have the height, we have the distance, we have the speed, and the speed going up, going down. This is the normal speed, forward, backward speed, and we have the height of the sensor. The Inspire has a special sensor so you can fly indoors, and if I lift up the Inspire, you will see that the value of 0.1 meter gets bigger, 0.2, 0.3. So that's the sensor which is under the copter. You can see it here is the sensor is under the copter, and this gives you the distance from the floor in meter. So this is the information about everything of the copter. So let's have a look here on the top line. Here we have the different informations, the mode, the satellite, ready to fly, remote control, the HD signal for the FPV, and the battery state. We start with the general settings. So we go there and we have the general settings. Here we can decide whether we want to have imperial or metric. Overexposure warning, I will show you later how this looks like. You can switch it on, you get the zebra. Video caption, yes, I want. Show grid, I can show the different grid lines. You have this, or you have the grid and the diagonal. Looks like this. So you have like an orientation if you want to make pictures and want to have the perfect angle. Then I will switch it off. We have the anti-flicker, 60 or 50 Hertz or auto. That's important when you fly indoors with artificial light. Then we have the quick review. So if you make a picture, you will get the review here on the screen. I have it off because I want to always see the flight map or the original picture, so the FPV picture. Then you can decide whether you want NTSC for American or PAL for the European system. Reset camera settings, format SD card, so it's the card in the camera. Then we have adjust gimbal roll. So if the gimbal is not perfect in vertical, in horizontal direction, you can adjust it here a little bit and make a minimum correction, so you can adjust the horizon perfect. That's an advantage because on the H3 3D gimbal Zenmuse you can't do this in the Phantom 2, so that's a real advantage. Gimbal auto calibration also you can make on a flat table. Show flight route. Yes, you can show the flight route on the map if you want to. Calibrate map coordinates for China mainland if you fly there. Cache map in the background. That's important if you fly at a place where you have no a mobile connection to download the maps, or if you don't have a low download package. So you won't use lots of your download capacity, and that's a good way to cache the map at home. When you have Wi-Fi connection at home, then you can cache the map, and when you're on the place, the map will be here without having a connection to the internet. Clear flight route, that's clear. You can delete the flight route. Then you have an option of the tutorial. I haven't seen a difference between tutorial on and off. I'm not quite sure if there's a tutorial. Then rate, you cannot rate because it's not the official iOS app, so there's no option to rate. And then we have About, and when you go to the About, you will see the different firmware settings here of all the components which is on the copter and in the remote control. And it's a good way to check always or in between if these firmware updates are on the actual update. But also the app will show you that you have to make an update. The app will show you, please make an update, there is a new one. So, but to check and to control, it's a good idea to do so. Next point is, next point here is website, email, phone. So this is DJI stuff. Okay, so these were the general settings, and now we start with the left side here where the mode button is, and when we press the mode button, we get the first point is set maximum flight altitude. So that's the highest altitude the copter should fly. You can change between 10 and 500 meters, and yes, 500 meters is the highest altitude you can fly, even in ATI mode, because there is still the barometer and the GPS working even if you change to ATI mode. So in my opinion, you can't fly higher than 500 meters. There's no trick or anything. You can't change this highest setting. In my opinion, it's absolutely okay. 500 meters is enough. Maximum distance, you can set a maximum distance up to 500 meters. If you want to. If you don't want, you can fly as far as your batteries go. Then you can change to the beginner mode, and if you're in the beginner mode, you have a maximum flight altitude of 30 meters, 98 feet, and a maximum flight distance of also 30 meters. So that's for the beginners when they are not so sure how they fly and how far and how fast. So they have this radius where the copter is inside of this radius and inside of this height. So it's a little bit, for beginners, a little bit better to try to make the first step in the beginner mode. Okay, so you can switch this off. Next point is calibrate compass. I will show you on the field when we make our first flight how to calibrate the compass. Reset all settings, that's okay. Everything was resetted. Unlock motors. As far as I know, this function doesn't have any function, because when you press it, you can see it says command successful, but nothing happens. The motors are still free. You can't unlock anything. I don't know what this means. So as far as I know and as far as I found out in the forums and in the discussion with other DJI pilots, this point has no function. Enter travel mode, exit travel mode. That's easy. The copter goes down in the travel mode to get it in the case, and exit travel mode, copter goes up, so you can install the gimbal. So these are the 2 points, enter and exit. You can do it exactly in the same way with the lever here on the right side, 4 times up and down, and then you have exactly the same to change between travel mode, the flat one, and exit the travel mode. That's now. Multiple flight mode, these are the settings and the IOC setting, where you can make the different settings here of the IOC. Multiple flight mode, so you can change between the different settings. I will show you the IOC mode in the video before, where I explained the remote control. As I talked a little bit about the different modes, but I will show you the different modes also outside when we fly outside, so I can show you what the difference is between the P mode, ATI mode, and the IOC mode. Here's reset IOC, so that's when you want to reset the direction of the IOC mode. Advanced settings, here we go into the copter, into the brain of the copter. Here you can change the gain settings in pitch, roll, yaw, ATI gain, gyro gain, and vertical gain. What means gain? Gain is how the copter reacts to your stick movement, how direct the copter react to your stick movement. So if you have high values, it's very direct. If you have a little bit lower values, it's a little bit softer, a little bit smoother. So when you know what you do, you can change these settings up to your need. If you've never done this before, fly and let the settings like they are, make your experience, and after a while you can begin to change a little bit of these settings, and then you will feel how the settings change the flight behavior of the Inspire 1. So, but at this time, please let the gain settings like they are and don't change them, and let them like they are. So, going back to the advanced settings, here we have the fail-safe mode. Fail-safe mode is very important because when you have a fail-safe, the copter will go to a certain altitude, so it goes up and then fly back to your home point. And why it is important? Because if there are some buildings, trees or something in his way and you don't have the right altitude, the copter will crash in the building, in the trees, and that's it. So take care that you set up the right return to home altitude so that the copter safely flies over buildings and over trees. Very simple way to do so is start your flight with the first battery, check up the highest height or highest altitude of the building, put the camera straight in front, straight up, and then go up and go up and go up. And if you see, okay, now I'm on the maximum height of a building or a tree, you'll look here on the left corner and you see the height. If it says like 30 or 40 meter, give a little bit in addition, and then let's say 60 meter, and then you're on the safe side, because when you have a fail-safe or activate the home fly mode, the copter will go up to 60 meter and then fly back, fly over the building and the trees, and that's absolutely safe. So it's important to check this every time you make your flight and you know there are high buildings in your area where the copter can crash in. So that's a good idea to check this before. Oops, sorry. We were in the, here we have been in the advanced failsafe settings, and then we have the sensors. We have the gyroscope, that's the one for the movement. We have the acceleration, so that's this for the speed, the G value, and we have the compass setting. And when you look here, I'm now from the table, and you see the gyroscope has 0 values everywhere, and the acceleration has 0.01, 1 and 0.99, so that's absolutely okay. And now when I move the copter, you will see that the values are changed, and the acceleration and the gyroscope will work, compass also, so these values are okay. You can make here a calibration, EMU calibration, advanced calibration, but you shouldn't do this if everything is fine. Okay, so these were the sensors. These were the advanced settings. Now going back to the MC settings, and that's it in the MC settings. Going back to the next point, here we have the satellite, the GPS signal, how strong the GPS signal is. Now we see that there's only one red line, and it says ready to fly, non-GPS, so we have no GPS on the copter to fly with a GPS system, but we can fly in the ATI mode with the combination of the cameras here under the copter, which give us the height control. So we have the opportunity to fly, but without GPS connection. Ready to fly GPS, press this one and you will see the aircraft state. The overall status is normal, firmware is latest, so here the copter gives us the information that we have the newest firmware on the copter. Then we have the compass calibration. We can start the calibration if this says not normal. I show you in the field how the compass calibration works. It's very easy. Then we have the flight mode. The actual flight mode is P-Opti. Then we have the different remote control modes. When we put the button here, we have mode 1, 2, 3, and we have the custom mode. Normal is mode 2 for the copter pilots. That's what I explained yesterday in my video to the remote control. Then we have the aircraft battery, 71%. We have the aircraft battery temperature, RC battery, that's the one of the remote control. And we have the remaining SD card capacity with 14 gigabytes, exit travel mode. Again, here the point where we can go from the travel mode in the normal mode to assemble the gimbal and the camera. Okay, so that's the aircraft state. Now we go to the button here, remote control, and in the remote control settings we have the remote control settings. We go there, we have first of all the gimbal wheel speed. That's a real nice function because we can set up how fast the gimbal works. So let's go to the fastest point, 100%, and now when I move the gimbal, you can see this also here at the side. It goes very fast up and down. When I change to the yaw mode, it's exactly the same. You see the gimbal turns very fast. Now we go to a slower mode, my opinion, or I work usually in the speed of 30, and now you can see the gimbal goes much smoother, and if I change to the tilt mode, you see it's much smoother, and you can go also like to 20, and then it's really slow, and you can make real slow moves and slow turns with the gimbal, very smooth, and with a real nice speed. So let's go up to 30. That's my value I use. Next is the stick expo curve, and in the stick expo curve you can change the expo curve here. What means expo curve? Expo curve means how the throttle and the yaw, this is the yaw and this is the throttle, how they react. So it's not linear, but it's an exponential curve. So the first few millimeters are very, very slow, and then it speeds up. And the expo curves give you an idea how slow the beginning is and how fast at the end is. So you have to try this, and you have to work with it, and you have to find out what's your best value you have here, because it depends if you want to make video flights or if you want to make only fun FPV flights. So here you have to check which expo curve fits your needs best. Okay, next point is the RC calibration. This one will only work when the copter is off, because you have to turn the sticks around, and that's not a good idea when the copter is on, because accidentally you could do the CSC move and the copter, the motors will start. Stick mode, showed you before, it's exactly the same what I showed you in the other screen. And then very important and interesting is the C1 and C2, custom 1 and custom 2. These are the buttons here under the remote control, and you have different options here which you can set up. You can call the advanced camera setting, reset gimbal yaw, gimbal free and follow, toggle map and live view, clear flight route, battery info, change between pitch and yaw, and not defined. I use the reset gimbal yaw because the reason is when I turn the gimbal, I will show you, I turn the gimbal, you can see it here, the gimbal turns, and I've lost in orientation and want to know in which direction the nose of the copter shows, and I want to see the picture. I just press the C1 and the camera immediately points in direction of the nose, in direction of the front of the copter, and so I get the orientation back very fast. On the C2 you have the same options, and on the C2 I have the switch between pitch and yaw. So what does it mean? When I use my dial here on the left backside. We have the yaw, and when I press the button here, I change to the pitch. So this is my C2 to change between yaw and pitch. Again, press C1 and the gimbal will go in the 0 position. Okay, linking RC is, if you have a new RC or remote control, you have to link it with a copter. That means linking RC. So these were the RC control settings. Then we have the RC status, master and slave, the RC name, connection, password. So these are the settings if you fly with 2 remote controls, master and slave. Then you have put the second one in the slave mode. In the slave mode, the remote control controls the gimbal, not the copter itself, but remote controls the position of the gimbal, so the yaw and the tilt or the up and down movement of the camera. Next point is the connection, the HD connection, the FPV connection. Usually we use the auto channel setting. If you want to go to the custom setting, then you can go to the custom setting and set up an individual channel. Usually you don't need this, so you can go to the auto setting, and that's usually the best you can use. Dual output means you have the output here on your smart device and the second output on the HDMI on the backside of the remote control, where you can connect even a cinemizer or a second monitor or a transmitter to a big screen if you're at a sport event and want to make air pictures of the sport event and want to show this on a big screen. So you can have a transmitter which transmits the picture to a big video wall, so that's also possible. Display OSD on HDMI output. OSD mean on-screen display, so these are the informations of the flight height, speed, distance and so on. If you want them, you can have them. If you don't want them, you get exactly the same picture when I do this. So without this, absolute clean picture you will get if you switch off the OSD setting here when you say display OSD on HDMI, and if you turn this off, you will see the clean picture. If you turn it on, you will see the most important flight information. So if you use a cinemizer, it's a good idea to see the distance, flight height, speed and so on in the monitor or in the glasses. Use metric on HDMI output. That's either if you fly in Germany or in America, so you can decide even if you want to have meter or feet. So these are the settings of the transmitter, so the image transmission settings. Last point here is the battery state. The aircraft battery, you can set up the critical battery warning, low battery warning, flight time, you will see the voltage, remaining power, total capacity, the temperature, the battery life, how many time you charged, and the time to discharge, I will explain you later, and the history. If you use the battery often, you will see the history. Time to discharge, what means this? Time to discharge means if you store the battery a longer time, the battery automatically will discharge after the days you set here. It goes from 10 days to 1 day. So at this time the battery will start to discharge after the 10th day. The reason why is it's not a good idea to store the batteries completely full charged. And so the battery automatically, the electronic is in the battery, will discharge the battery to a lower level. They get a little bit warm then. That's good, but for me or for you, the important information is if you want to go flying and you're after the 10th day, please check if the battery still is full, because it discharges slowly and so the battery capacity goes down, and if you want to make a flight at this time, you have to charge the battery again back full up. So that's very important to check the battery status before you go flying. Here we have the critical battery warning 10% and the low battery warning usually on 30%. These are two good values. I don't think you should change them, but you can do if you want to make an earlier battery warning because it's cold and you want to be on the safe side, so you can change these settings. So that's the aircraft battery, the general settings I explained before. And now we have the 4 points here on the left side. First point is auto start, takeoff. Yes, when we want to make auto takeoff, the copter will goes up to 1.2 meter, hover there, stay there, and then we can start our flight. Usually I make the takeoff by myself, but if you want so, slide and the aircraft will make the auto start. I say cancel. Exactly the same is here. If you press this one, go home and land, the copter will start the go home flight, go up to the height you have set in the menu I showed you before, and then fly back to the home point, land, and that's it. So take care that the copter gets enough height to fly around buildings, trees, or anything which is in its way. Then we have the setting of the gimbal. When you fly a Phantom, you know that the gimbal points in the direction of the copter, and when you turn the copter, the gimbal will follow slowly, and that's exactly the first point here. That's the follow mode. So when I turn the copter, the gimbal will slowly follow the copter and will follow the yaw movement of the copter. Next point is the FPV mode, and in the FPV mode the gimbal will follow faster, and that's one thing I don't know why it is. Usually the camera will also go into the curve, so it's a little bit more dynamic when you fly, so the copter will go into the curve and the camera also, so the horizon will be a little bit in this direction, not straight horizontal, but turns a little bit, and that's what I think is the FPV mode. But as you can see, the camera still is horizontal, so I think it's only the way that the camera follows the copter a little bit faster than in the follow mode. One difference between both modes, the follow mode works also if the camera, I will show you when the camera is in another direction, so you have turned the camera in this direction, the follow mode then also works in this direction. You can see at the leg here on the screen of the leg of the copter, when I turn the copter, the camera will slowly follow the leg and will slowly follow in the position. If you are in the FPV mode, the camera always points in direction of the copter, so you are not able to position the camera manual in a certain position, and then the camera will follow. The last point is the free mode, and in the free mode you can turn the camera in a certain position like this, and when you make a turn with the copter, the camera still points in the same direction. So you can see this. If I put here these black thing and I turn the copter, the camera always will keep the position and point towards this thing. So this is the free mode. And here we have the last option, back to the center position. So these are the settings of the gimbal, the different gimbal settings you can decide here. And then we have the home point, and at the home point we have two different options. We have the home point of the copter. If I press this one, set the current position of the copter as a home point. Yes, I want to. So now the home point is set. Especially now it's not set because we don't have enough GPS signals, but usually the position is set. And you have the option to set the home point where the remote control is. Won't work here too because I have not enough GPS signal here on my office, and so the app says there is no GPS signal. I can't not acquire location info to make the home point. The difference is this one is for the copter, this is for the remote control. It's not exactly the same like you have on the Phantom. At the Phantom you have these follow modes, so the dynamic home point. So if you move with your remote control, the home point follows automatically the remote control or the pilot. This works here not in exactly the same way. You have to make it individual every time you move, but it's okay if you start at a certain point and drive with your car, then you can in between set the home point again. So when the copter follows the car, you can make the home point setting 10 times, and you move up the home point individually to your car or to your moving subject. And so it's not exactly the same, but still a good option to set a new home point to the position where you are with your remote control. Last point, when we are in the map, there's one point I can show you also in the map when we are in the map, and that's to center either on the home point or on the copter. So if I press the home point, here is the home point, or on the copter it's exactly the same point, but you can center the map either on home point or on the copter. So that's one point you have only in the map. So these were the general options in the DJI app. The options for the camera settings, you have your ISO speed, you have the shutter speed, the exposure correction, JPEG and RAW, 4K 24, you have here the different functions where you can make up settings. You have here the individual settings where you can change from manual to automatic. You can change the picture size from camera to video mode where you have the 16:9 format. All these settings I will show you in the next video, because there's a little more to explain, even with the neutral density filter you can use. And so this stuff, the camera stuff, I will show you in my next video about the DJI Pilot app. One thing I will show you at the last point, so it's worth to look all my videos to the last point, because one thing I think it's very interesting. Put your finger on the screen, you get a blue circle, and then move the blue circle, and you will see that the camera moves in the direction you move the circle. So you have not the option to move yaw and the shift mode with one remote control, but you have the option, if you give a second operator the iPad, that the copter pilot uses the HDMI output at the back side of the copter, uses the glasses or an extra monitor, and the camera operator uses the iPad and moves the camera very soft and very smooth with his finger. And I haven't actually tried this, but I'm very interested to try, because I think this is also a good option to work only with one remote control, because you know the second one is not really cheap. It's the same price, $600 for the second remote control. And if this works fine, so the camera operator works with the iPad or works with a iPhone in his hand and can control the camera very good to the point, I think that's a really good idea, and maybe it works better this way than with a second remote control. We have to try and we have to check out this, but I think that's a real nice feature to move the camera, because the copter pilot can fly and the camera operator holds the camera to a certain point and takes the picture very easy, or hold the picture very easy on a certain point. We have to try, but it's a real nice feature. So that's it, the DJI Pilot app part 1, coming up with the next part very soon. Thank you for watching me. If you like my video, give me a like, subscribe to my channel, share the video, and as always, thank you for watching me. Tschüss und moin moin.